Sura Yasin, verses 74 to 75. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. And they have taken gods besides Allah. Haply they might be helped. They shall not be able to help them, and yet they, that is believers, are their host who in hereafter shall be brought forth in hellfire. Polytheism and idolatry both are counted as ingratitude of blessings. The incentive of idolaters is based on imaginations and conjectures. This verse refers to the status of polytheists, where it says, "And they have taken gods besides Allah, haply they might be helped." What a false conjecture and vain thought they have, that they put these powerless creatures that cannot even defend themselves, let alone the others, besides the creator of the earth and the sky and the giver of those abundant merits, and that they expect them to help them in the problems of life. And in the next verse regarding the worshippers of idols, the Quran says, "They shall not be able to help them, and yet they, the disbelievers, are their host who in hereafter shall be brought forth in the hellfire." How painful it will be that on that day these followers march at the back of idols and their hosts, and all of them will attend the court of justice of Allah, and after that they entirely will be sent into hell without that the idols can solve any problems for them of their own hosts. In principle, the Arabic word muhdarun, shall be brought forth, is a sign of contempt everywhere, and bringing persons forth without that they themselves be willing to it is the sign of their humiliation. Verse number 76. فَلَا يَحْزُنْكَ قَوْلُهُمْ إِنَّا نَعْلَمُ مَا يُسِرُّونَ وَمَا يُعْلِنُونَ. Therefore, let not their speech grieve you. Verily, we know what they do in secret and what they do openly. As the console of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and strengthening his spirit against those many hindrances, temptations, and superstitious thoughts and deeds, this holy verse says, "Therefore, let not their speech grieve you." Sometimes they call you a poet, sometimes a sorcerer, and sometimes they accuse you with some other things. But Allah knows all what they hide in their hearts or they reveal by their tongues. This verse continues by saying, "Verily, we know what they do in secret and what they do openly. Neither are their intentions concealed to us, nor their hidden plots, nor their bellies, nor their open naughtiness. We know them all, and we have kept their full account for the reckoning day, and we secure you in this world from their vice too." not only the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but also every believer can be animated by this statement of Allah, because everything in this world exists in the presence of Allah, and nothing of the devices of the enemies are concealed to him. He will not leave his friends alone at the violent moments, and he will always be their supporter and protector. Verses 77 to 78. أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الْإِنسَانُ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. Has not man seen that we created him of a sperm drop? Yet, behold, he is an open disputant, and he has struck for us a similitude and forgotten his creation. He says, who shall quicken the bones when they are decayed? Occasion of revelation. In the majority of the concerning commentary books, it has been cited that a man from among the polytheists by the name Ubay ibn Khalaf or Ibn Wa'il or Umayyad ibn Khalaf or As found a piece of rotten bone and said that by that firm proof he would stand with entity against Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he might nullify his speech about resurrection. He took that piece of stone and came to the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Perhaps he made a part of it as powder at the presence of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, who can give life again to these decayed stones, and which intellect may believe in it? Then the above mentioned verses, together with 4 verses after them, were revealed and gave a logical, firm answer to him and those who thought like him. The various discussions related to the origin, resurrection, and prophethood have been mentioned in Sura Yasin in different sections. This surah began with the name of the Holy Quran and the subject of prophethood, and it ends with 7 related verses which contain the strongest statements about resurrection. At first, the Quran takes man to the beginning day of his life, the day when he was not more than a worthless sperm drop, and makes him think. It says, has not man seen that we created him from a sperm drop? Yet, behold, he is an open disputant. What an expressive meaning it is. At first, it emphasizes on the word man, that is, every man with any belief, any school of thought, and with any amount of knowledge can find out this truth. Then it speaks of the Arabic word nutfa, which originally means the not worthless water, so that this proud, egoistic man thinks a little and knows that he was what he was on the first day, and yet the entire of this not drop of water has not been the source of his entity, but a very small living cell which cannot be seen by the ordinary eyes among 1,000 cells which were floating in that drop of water, combined with a very small living cell which was in the woman's womb, and then from that very small being man came into being. This creature passed the developing stages one after another, that according to the statement of the Quran at the beginning of Surah Al-Mu'minun, 6 stages of them inside the womb, stage of sperm, then clot, then a lump of flesh, and then appearance of bones, and then they being covered with flesh, and finally the appearance of sense and movement in it. After his birth, he was a weak and unable child. He quickly passed the stages of development too, until he reached the stage of his puberty, the bodily and mental growth. Yes, this weak and unable creature became so strong and powerful that he let himself stand against Allah and forget his both past and future, and became the clear example of an open disputant. It is interesting that the Quranic phrase Khasimun Mubin, an open disputant, has the aspect of strength and the aspect of weakness, that apparently here the Quran refers to both of them. From one side, his action is not done save by a human being that naturally has intellect, thought, understanding, and independent will, authority, and power. And we know that the most important thing in a man's life is his ability of speaking. The content of such speeches will formally be provided in his thought. Then they will be put together in the form of sentences. And like bullets of a gun, these sentences come out of the mouth and will be shot at the aim one after another. This is the marvelous action that no living creature can do except man. And thus, the holy verse illustrates the power of Allah in this great strength that He has given to this apparent insignificant drop of water. But on the other side, man is forgetful and proud, and he uses these bounties that God has bestowed on him against God and disputes inimically against God. What an unaware and stubborn being he is. The next holy verse implicitly announces that for man's unawareness, this is enough that he struck a similitude for Allah and he thought he found the firm proof, while he, forgetting his first creation, says, "Who can quicken these bones when they are decayed?" The verse says, "And he has struck for us a similitude and forgotten his creation." He says, "Who shall quicken these bones when they are decayed?" The purpose of striking a similitude here is not an ordinary proverb or a simile or an allusion, but the purpose is the statement of a reasoning, mentioning an extension in order to prove a general matter. Yes, he, Ubay ibn Khalaf, Umayyad ibn Khalaf, or As ibn Wa'il, finds a rotten bone in this desert. It was not known to whom that bone belonged, whether he had died by natural death or he had been killed badly in one of the battles of the age of ignorance, or he had died of hunger. However, he thought that he found a very firm proof. With an anger accompanied by happiness, he takes the piece of bone of a dead person and says, by this firm proof, I stand with enmity against Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that he cannot give any answer. He came hastily to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and shouted, "Who can give life to these rotten bones?" Then he crushed a part of the bone into powder and scattered it on the ground. He thought that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not have any answer for that logic. It is interesting that the Quran has given his whole answer in a short sentence, saying, "and forgotten his creation." Although next to it the Quran has also mentioned some more explanation with more reasoning, so it implies that if he had not forgotten his creation, he would not have attached such a weak and vain reasoning. "O forgetful man, return back and look at your creation, that you are an insignificant sperm, and every day he put a new cloth of life on you. You are always in a state of death and resurrection. You are changed from the state of cloth into an animal, and you came from the world and became a human being. But you, O forgetful man, did you forget all these states and ask who gives life to these decayed bones? When this bone decays completely, just it will become dust. Were you not dust at first?" Sadaqallahul Aliyul Azim wa sadaqa Rasulullahul Karim wa nahnu ala dhalika minash shahidin wa shakirin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.